Welcome to Alpha Wolf Capital. I'm Tim, and I want to personally thank you for stopping by. Between the OTC, New York Stock Exchange, and NASDAQ, there are over 22,000 companies traded publicly. I feel that small businesses are the backbone of America. This channel is designed to help small companies, both public and private, gain exposure with potential consumers, investors, even partners. Take, for example, today's guest, Peter Evans with Xtract One. Xtract One provides gateway systems for security and weapons detection with AI, artificial intelligence recognition. Through a people-first and collaborative approach, they leverage the purpose-built AI to create transformative technology solutions that deliver exceptional experiences, safer environments, and informed operational insights. But I'll let Peter tell you more about that in just a moment. It's important to understand that this is not a paid-for promotion. I do not collect compensation for the interviews that I do here. The purpose of this channel is to find companies that have identified big problems and have found solutions to those problems. There's a thing called impact investing. It's tied to environmental, social, and governance. There are amazing companies out there addressing real problems. And unfortunately, no one knows about those companies because they're too small. I am asking you to listen to these interviews and fully comprehend what it is that they are trying to accomplish. And if it resonates with you, help the company spread the word. Help them as a potential investor or a brand ambassador. The goal here is to solve problems that humanity has and have a positive impact on humanity. You can either choose to be part of that goal, or you can choose to take no action. It's entirely up to you. But that is the purpose of this channel. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. I recommend highly that before buying any security, you speak to a financial advisor and do your own due diligence. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a follow-up with Peter Evans. We're a couple of days off, but he was right on with the announcement date of new product from Xtract One. I think, Peter, there's nobody else that has what you have, right? It's just
Yeah,
you.
this is very, very new and unique, Tim. And if you look at the history of weapons detection solutions, a lot of them are based on the same form of physics, which is around, electromagnetic disturbance, where they also our competitors. And we've all taken slightly different architectural approaches, and our architectural approach with our smart gateway has allowed us to provide the highest efficacy in detecting both firearms and knives and the lowest level of false alert rates. Okay. But with the One Gateway, the Xtract One Gateway, I affectionately call it the One Gateway, we've changed the game. We're using a different approach, and we're doing a different approach to the physics of the sensors themselves, such that we're actually doing object identification. So, Tim, when you walk through with a backpack that's got a laptop, a 3-ring binder, water bottle, keys, cell phone, watch, wallet, the system is not going to alert. If you do walk through with that same amount of personal items on you, with a gun or a knife shoved between those items, it will alert. And not only will it alert, though, it's going to alert and tell you gun, knife. And as we've trained the system right now, it can also tell you laptop. And we are continuing to work on further innovating the product so that it'll go laptop, cell phone, earbuds, iPhone, Apple Watch, whatever. And so when you think about this, a lot of people ask us, well, how do you set your sensitivity levels to minimize false alerts? Are you just lowering the sensitivity so a laptop can go through, but now you're missing guns?
Hey there, folks. I want to tell you about a new app that I am very excited about. If you want to up your investing game with Wall Street wisdom, stay informed, save time, and gain an edge, then you're going to want to check out this app, STOCKPICK. You can discover pro tips from top investors and expert curated financial news all in quick video short form clips. I've been using this app and I got to tell you, I love it. I am extremely impressed with the quality of the content. It keeps me informed, and I have to tell you, I've used all kinds of comparable services out there. This one is priced at 79 US. It is a steal of a deal. And right now, on top of that, you can get an additional 25% off. I'm telling you, folks, I think you're going to love this app. Go to the description of this video and find the link. Make sure you use my code to get that 25% off.
No, we're not doing that. We've actually created a system whereby the user can set a profile up and on the way in the door say, I only want to alert on, because I can identify what the object is, I can identify that I want to alert on firearms and knives and not laptops, not 3-ring binders. But on the way out, because I'm worried about theft, I can alert on earbuds and smartwatches and cell phones. Now, today we're continuing to work on that idea with the electronics. Not 100% there yet, but we've already got it kind of dialed in for laptops, dialed in for things like tablets, and we're continuing to work on the smaller and smaller electronics. So what does this mean? There's a great story in the news about Broward County. He deployed weapons detection solutions from one of our competitors, and all the children had to stand in line for 2 hours before they could get into school because every single child has a laptop and every single one of those alerted. Right? That to me is fascinating. In our case, convention centers, like look at the GSX show that's going on in Orlando. 100% of the people are walking around with their backpack with a laptop. Every single one of them would have alerted if you were dialing the systems to catch weapons. Convention centers, schools, commercial properties. There's 5.9 million commercial property buildings in North America. I personally believe that in the same way we have sprinkler systems, we have fire retardant systems, we've got badge access control, we've got Wi-Fi in every single building, it'll become standard to have weapons detection on the entry into every building.
We've talked about this before. It actually, you would prefer to be early on a project because you can actually be built into the walls, right? I mean,
Absolutely. We've got a couple of customers we're doing that kind of work with today. A brand new entertainment venue that's being constructed, and they're designing it where our systems are just going to sit in these little alcoves on the sides of the walls as people walk through. And so, today's announcement or yesterday's announcement around the One Gateway, we think is a game changer. And we think it's fascinating too, because now people, we've all gone through the TSA where, your bag goes through and it alerts and someone goes, who's this bag? And you go, that's mine. And they go through it and it's very invasive. They're looking through your luggage and your underwear is in there, right? Well, maybe not your underwear, Tim, but that's a scary concept right there. But anyhow, nobody likes that. These
no,
are people's personal items. They're their personal belongings. Let people just walk through with their personal items and alert if they've got a gun or a knife. That's the promise of what we're trying to do here. And I think it's absolutely hilarious that in response to our announcement, you see others saying, oh, we've got an X-ray machine that we're going to bolt on to our current weapons detection solution. That's hilarious to me. Now I've got twice the systems, twice the footprints, twice the electronics, twice the con ops in a small footprint. Oh, and those X-ray machines make those weapons detection machines not work properly. But that's okay. I'll stand one beside it. It's hilarious that innovation is about using technology to solve problems,
right.
not forcing the customers to go through unnecessary gymnastics and acrobatics to work around the shortcomings of technology. All right. And we think we've solved that problem by listening to our customers and some of their biggest issues. I had a school superintendent tell me, I can't remember how many schools, 100, 200 schools in the district. And they looked at me and said, if you can solve the laptop problem, not only we're going to deploy this everywhere, I'm going to buy shares in your company. Because they saw the compelling leap that this would be for every school system in North America.
Right. Right. This is a game changer. I mean, you've had some really big events that have, I mean, the certifications or qualifications that you've had. Now this, which is just a total game changer and the only one that I know of that has this technology. And facts are your stock has not been rewarded. I mean, it was funny.
Yeah.
I actually had somebody make a comment on the last follow-up we did that, my Lord, what does it take? Why can't this stock? I mean, you're executing
Yeah.
and nothing seems to move the stock, right?
Yeah.
It is a big portion of it right now is just the sector. The small cap is still under a lot of pressure, and there's uncertainty with this election that is definitely weighing on people's minds. But
Well, and trust me,
I
it weighs on my mind every single day also. And I think there's sort of two, three things going on here that we need to account for. One is we continue to grow, and I think that's good. We continue to grow profitably. I think that's better. We can see the path to cash flow break even. These are all the right things to do. And to a certain degree, we can satisfy two investor markets. There are those people who are more worried about high growth. Well, we're delivering that, doubling every year. And then those people who are worried about cash flow break even and not having to go to the market again. Well, guess what? We're going to satisfy that marketplace also. So we're very unique in that situation too. Name a company that's high growth and profitable or profitable and high growth. It's rare. But it's funny. I was talking to a couple of folks who are, market makers the other day, and their comment was, the small cap market is just still being brutalized. And, we hope that with some of the things with the rate changes, that might cause some more money to flow in. You start to see the traditional patterns of people, return to the more the blue chip stocks first, and then they returned into different cycles. And we think the time is going to come for small cap stocks. The other thing that you have that's working against you is you've got this naked trading that's going on, right?
right.
And I think that negatively affects not just Xtract One, but many other stocks who are very similar to us.
So
The small
there's a
caps.
couple of things that are happening. The SEC and the NASDAQ actually are making things harder on small cap companies
Mhm.
because they're raising the bar. You can't do a $5 million IPO now. Now it has to be a $10 million IPO, which means you
Yeah.
actually have to raise 12 million in order to do an IPO, right? The other thing is the 180-day. If you fall below a buck for 30 consecutive days, you've got 180 days to get your price back above a buck. If you don't, it used to be that you could just file for an extension and they give you another 180 days. Well,
Yeah.
now that's not what happens. You have to requalify again to be listed on the NASDAQ minus the price component.
Mhm.
That is a big expense for a small cap company to have to go through all that requalifying. What it's almost as though they want to stifle innovation. I swear to God. I can't understand why you would do these kinds of things. And they've been very quiet about it. This hasn't been a really publicly announced thing. Why would you do these things and make it even harder for the small cap companies, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is to that, but I do know that the biggest problem, or one of the biggest problems that the small cap companies have, is this naked short issue. Algorithmic trading and naked short is a big problem.
Mhm.
And I don't know how they fix it. The SEC, I know that there's a lot of people that complain about it. There's one thing to short. I'm not saying get rid of shorts. Naked shorting, you don't have any shares and you can short the stock. I don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
It shouldn't
The, o-
happen.
the only way that you can combat it that I'm aware of, Tim, is you have to keep driving momentum. Right. And you have to keep, because if anyone who's doing the naked shorts is eventually they're going to get squeezed out of that. You have to keep doing driving momentum and just small, progressive, continuous steps around growth and momentum. And we're trying to do that as best we can through, obviously making sure the fundamentals of the business are correct. Growing the top line, growing the bookings, growing the revenue, continue to throw off very healthy GP, converting that revenue to earnings and getting to that cash flow break even point. And just keep doing that as aggressively as we have been and winning more and more and more business. Those are the things we can control.
Are
Those
you
are the things that we
are you
can control.
still getting that influx of phone calls? I mean, there was a point there where you didn't have enough salespeople.
Unbelievable the amount of things that have happened. And, you see some interesting trends, like the unfortunate incident that happened in the Georgia school, about a month or so ago. Since then, just like after Uvalde, I want to say we've had a tenfold increase in the number of schools who are calling us. Interesting to me, too, is the number of schools who are calling us and saying, yeah, we made a decision by technology that's just not working, and that was a bad decision. And so, we're seeing more judicious decision making. People aren't doing the 1 day demo and saying, let's go. They're taking a little bit longer, 2, 3 weeks, and really getting all of their piece parts right, their con ops. But then they're making bigger, broader decisions as opposed to the small decisions. Yeah, the inbound demand remains very, very healthy and very strong.
So I saw an interview, Joshua. He did an
Yes.
interview with I'm trying to think of the tech guy, what his name was. But anyway, he had mentioned in that interview somewhere something about 250 unit um I think order. Is that it was
Yeah. Well, so I think that was a misinterpretation
okay,
by some of our folks who are trying to read between the lines. We are working with various organizations who have up to 200 locations,
got it.
but most people, when they deploy, there is no one on the planet who's going to flash cut 200 locations overnight. And so what we see happening is, and we just received another little nice order this week, not large, 4 systems, but this was from an organization that had already deployed a bunch, had then done another phase, was now doing another building, was now doing another building, and we like lining those up because they get happy. And then as the chief security officer, I think this is in the case study we put out, the chief security officer for community health said, I don't need to sell this anymore. The ROI proves itself because now that we've deployed it in 9, now 10 hospitals, um, every one of the nursing staff, every one of the doctor staff, every one of the managers for those buildings is seeing the impact and saying, I get it. How
Yeah,
can we get the rest of the entrances done? And so it's selling itself. And we see that repeatedly with customer after customer after customer, where we'll start, Centera Healthcare started in 2 locations and then more and then more and then more. And so, Joshua was probably referring to one customer we're working with that has 200 locations. They have not signed a contract yet for all 200.
right,
But you know me, Tim. You know me really, really well. I'm monumentally impatient about outcomes. I'm going to get those 200 as fast as I can.
right, right. All right, Peter. I know you're busy as hell. Let me ask you, how was the reveal received?
I think it was received very, very well when we did it in the room in Orlando. We had, I want to say, about 50 or so live attendees from assorted security companies, partner organizations, customers, potential customers. There's a couple of Fortune 50 type companies in the room. There was a number of questions that were asked at the end. They were all very intelligent questions. And I think it was very, very well received. Many people, although the reveal was only supposed to be about 45 minutes of length, people stayed for another 45 minutes to an hour asking questions, walking around, poking and prodding. This is real. And you started to see the wheels spinning on people going, wow, not only are solving the weapons problem, but I'm solving this problem and this problem and this problem, right?
Right.
We have another webinar that we'll be doing later today, which purposely oriented towards schools. I think we've got 60 different school districts who will be attending that, something in that order of magnitude. There's a high interest. And as I said earlier, that one school superintendent said to me, if you can solve, they call it the laptop problem. If you can solve the laptop problem, you've now taken away the need for excess security guards, the need for long lines, the need for looking in the backpacks. It's a complete game changer. And, again, this is not about alerting on the amount of metal. This is about identifying and highlighting the product. So set your policies. I've got a nightclub in Vegas where you live, Tim, and that nightclub says, we don't want any cell phones coming in because we don't want anyone, videotaping the performer. We
Okay.
don't want any knives coming in. We don't want any guns coming in. Okay, click the things on your policy, and those things don't alert, or they do alert. It's a game changer.
It is a game changer. It's exciting, man.
Yeah.
Peter,
Yeah.
I will commend you, man. You and your team are you're executing. You're doing everything you said you were going to do.
No,
You,
that's our plan.
you cannot control the price of the stock, unfortunately.
We will
But
do everything that's humanly possible. I get every single day. How come, Peter, it must be Peter's strategy. Peter, what is it, your strategy to not announce anything? Oh my gosh, I wish I could announce every single customer who came to us. There's some of them I would love to. I traveled to, was it New York City last week? And in the process of traveling to New York, being in New York, traveling back, I must have engaged with, you know, 6 different companies, all of who are our customers, on my journey. And I started to say to myself, God, wouldn't it be great to announce these customers? We so would like to do that. It is not our strategy to not announce. It is the customer's strategy to
and
prohibit.
you have to respect that.
Absolutely. We have one customer who told us a story about $1 billion vendor, and they had a no PR policy. Somebody posted something on Twitter because they saw the CEO walking in the hallway. The next day, their contract was canceled.
Whoa.
We're not going to risk that.
Right. Right.
So
It would not be worth it. I mean, look, at some point, like you said, Peter, you just keep making those steps, right? You keep making those steps, keep making that progress, get the cash flow positive, and then, I don't know. I don't know what anybody can say about why the stock would be down, right?
yeah,
I mean, you get the cash flow positive, there's no reason. There
yeah,
is no reason left. I
yeah.
don't I don't see it.
There's no reason at all, and we control our destiny even that much more.
Yeah.
So now, always have to make sure I say the right caveats here, Tim. Can we see the path to cash flow break even? Absolutely. But if I see opportunities where there is a massive growth opportunity, and we have to invest in a particular country or certifications to get us into that country, or to deliver yet another market-making product like the One Gateway, where it's going to have people, reacting with silly things like bolting X-ray machines beside the machine, right? What a joke. Um, you know, and truly a joke. Um, will I invest because I see an opportunity for higher growth rates? Yeah, we'll consider that judiciously and
Right.
balance this all. That's why we have a board that represents the interests of all the shareholders, to validate the decisions that we want to make, and balance the speed to cash flow break even versus investing for aggressive growth. And we'll find a judicious balance between those things constantly.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
The pace of growth, pace of new customers for you
Yeah.
guys. Because when you first start out, getting that first 10 customers is way harder than it is to get the first 100 customers, right? Because the more customers you get, that word gets out and it's like, oh yeah, we're in your competitors' business. They brought us in, a month ago or whatever. You get validation in the
Yes.
marketplace,
Yep.
right? Are you seeing that pace continue to climb?
Well, we're seeing sort of 2 or 3 different trends that all kind of blend together. The first is definitely we see that pace climb. Nobody wants to be the first one out the door to buy a piece of technology and potentially make a bad decision. And in fact, we've got a bunch of customers right now who are coming to us because they made a bad decision to buy a technology, a weapons detection technology, not one of the ones you'd normally expect, but another sort of third-rate player, and it doesn't work. And so we've got a dozen of those customers who have come to us right now. And we're working on replacing that gear. So nobody wants to be the first. But
Right.
then once you have someone like a Madison Square Garden, their CSO, who's advocating for you, that gives a lot of credibility and you see a lot more volume, a lot more comfort. We held an event with that Madison Square Garden at the Garden about a month or so ago, and the room was filled with about 50, 60 really unbelievable titles of individuals at unbelievable companies, all who are good friends of the CSO. And so it was a by invite only opportunity that he set up on our behalf and, provided his advocacy for what we're doing.
Right.
And so that's created a very interesting snowball effect. One of the gentlemen who was in that room, called me the other day and said, I'm having lunch with the CSO of XYZ Corporation. You know, one of those corporations that you just sort of fall off your chair when you hear their name. And and so you've got that kind of momentum, that advocacy that's now coming through having quality brand names. So yes, that's helping. Having said that, I think we're also seeing a different phase of the technology adoption life cycle curve. Go look it up. Jeffrey Moore wrote a lot about it. We've moved out of those kind of the propeller head, early innovators, first adopters, the people who love to play with technology into the mass market, which means the market size is growing. But the
Right.
mass market tends to be people who are a little more judicious about taking their time to test. Because when they deploy, they will deploy to 200 locations over time. So they have to make sure they get it right. So they'll test more, they'll get their budgets right for staffing, for training, for support, for all these sorts of things. So that can lengthen the cycle, but you've also got a much larger volume in the cycle. So all these things kind of balance each other out.
Right. Okay. And I just want to remind everybody, this is a reoccurring revenue model.
Absolutely. I like going into our next fiscal year where we've all got a large chunk of revenue already accounted for.
Right. I mean, this is where it gets really exciting. I mean, at some point, I don't know when it's going to hit everybody, but it will. I mean, just keep executing, Peter, and
Yep.
doing great things. I mean, we're never going back to metal detectors.
It's never going to happen. I had a great conversation with someone this morning who wants to introduce metal detectors for the first time into their venues. And this is actually a European organization, and they were very, very worried about the negative impact. And so they went out and they saw us. They saw us at Co-op Live Arena, and they saw people just walking in and walking in and walking and walking. And they said, "Aha, we've introduced weapons detection, and we have not introduced annoyance." That's no one's going back to metal detectors. It's only going to progress forward. And particularly not only with those organizations who use metal detectors today, they'll never invest in another metal detector. They'll shift their spend. But those folks who's never used metal detectors, they're not going to go and introduce the annoyance. They're going to introduce a platform that not only keeps things fast and frictionless, but also is a platform for doing more in the future.
I have to ask you, and I know I've asked you this before, and you've said that isn't where your interest is. The airports, TSA.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a product or you're moving towards a product that would be ideal for that. No?
Well, let me play it to you this way, Tim. Put yourself in my shoes. Okay. On the one hand, you've got an opportunity that is 130,000 schools in the United States, K through 12, and every single one of them is saying, we need to do something to keep our children safe. And they're getting the budgets and they're getting the grant money, and that sales cycle could be as long as a year or as short as 3 months. Okay. Or there's 450 airports total.
Yeah, I mean, it's right. I get it. I get it.
Probably only about, if you look at the top tier of them, there's only 79 that are considered top tier. And the sales cycle between all the security organizations, the DHS, the TSA, the FAA, the local governor, the local mayor, the local, law enforcement, the 28 stakeholders who all are going to have some sort of political play in this, and all the lobbyists, and it's probably an 8 or 10 year decision cycle.
Right.
If you were in my shoes, where would you spend an hour?
Right. I get it. I get
Yeah.
it. I just wanted to ask, I
Yep.
mean, but there's going to be this time where you're going to get pulled. You may not want to go after the market, but I
Yeah.
think eventually they're going to be wanting you, whether you want to go there or not.
And that is great because when they pull us, we can engage on our terms.
Right.
Right? Not on their terms and going through all sorts of hoops to make things happen.
Yeah.
Let me give you another interesting statistic. You look at someone like Amazon has approximately 2,000 distribution centers and probably anywhere in the range of 8 to 12 metal detectors in every single one of those distribution centers. Much easier marketplace to serve than the airports.
Right.
You could apply the same thing to any distribution company, any retail organization. It's a faster path to quality sales.
We talked a while back about the Faraday bags.
Yeah,
People this
yeah. The Yonder bags. Yonder is the most famous of those providers. Kevin Hart goes and does a concert. They want you to put your phone in Yonder bag so that you're not taping it and putting it on YouTube and killing his business. With One Gateway, you don't need to worry about that whole process anymore. Imagine you're going into an arena to go see Kevin Hart or any other comedian, Bill Burr, whoever. And okay, I've got to go through the metal detector, and then I've got to go to another line, and I got to fill out the forms. I got to put my phone in a Yonder bag, which is sealed, and then I'm in watching the show, and the phone rings. It's my kid's babysitter, and I got to go out because they're the only ones who have the key to go undo it, right? What a hassle!
Yeah.
Versus, and they're always worried is someone sneaking in a recording device. Yeah, they show us their phone, but what about what's in their other pocket, right? So I just set up one gateway and go alert on cell phones and knives and guns. Problem solved, right?
Yeah.
Now think about this. Now I'm thinking about data centers. And data centers are worried about people stealing memory sticks and intellectual
Yeah.
property out of a data center. Okay, I set my policies on egress, you know, let's alert on memory sticks. What if I could do something which is, again, the art of the possible with one gateway, where Tim, I noticed you come into work and you got uh cell phone, watch, wallet, keys, pack of smokes, whatever. Okay. But on the way out, you've got two cell phones, watch, wallet, keys. And so I start to understand you and your personality and what items you're carrying in and what items you're carrying out. Think of the benefit in terms of security, privacy, right?
Yeah.
Credentialization. There's so much more we can do with one gateway. And now, having said that, the obvious question then that people like yourself often ask is, well, what about Smart Gateway? Smart Gateway was purpose built for the arenas and stadiums. When I first joined the company some 3.5 years ago, the first thing we did was get out to a lot of customers and say, what do you like about the competition and what don't you like about the competition? And we took all of those things and aimed to make that, particularly with arenas, stadiums, and live entertainment, and said, let's integrate in all those capabilities into the Smart Gateway so it fits the arenas and stadiums the best possible way. It still has a great place for those arenas, stadiums. I like to frequently say, and I probably said in this call, it was designed by the arenas and stadiums for arenas and stadiums. We just had the joy of being able to put that all together for those arenas and stadiums. So it's a great product for that environment. It works very, very well, and it's got a long life to serve those markets. It's approved by all the leagues. It's approved by the DHS, the TSA, and other organizations where, particularly where those leagues need to have those certifications. Well, let's go. We'll keep on selling it and selling it well. We have customers today who, based on their requirements in one building and another building, are talking about one gateway for one building and a smart gateway for the other buildings because they're the right fit.
Right. Okay. I was actually gonna ask that if like if Madison Square Garden wanted to have a lane where it's for whatever reason, maybe for the employees coming in, right? I mean, to
Yeah.
have a screening for the laptop and all that, right? You wouldn't, it's a whole new unit. It's not, you wouldn't be able to just add something to the unit that you
No.
have.
Different sets of sensors in the one gateway versus the smart gateway. So, it's not just a software update. But again, the smart gateway has a purpose. It was purpose built for certain applications, and it continues to serve those very, very well.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Hey,
Peter,
Tim, I gotta have to rock and roll here, my friend.
thank you for
Lo-
taking the time, man.
Lots of customers to go call. So thank you for the time, Tim.
All right. Looking forward to the next one.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had Peter Evans from Xtract One, ticker symbol XTRAF. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are very important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.